All right. Our next, we'll take a couple minutes here to get set up, just so that everyone knows what's coming up. Our next speaker is Nick Swetye, and Nick Swetye received his BA in philosophy from Hiram College in 2004, and his MFA in creative writing from Georgia College and State University in 2006. With a lifetime dedication to not-for-profit work, Swetye has worked with social justice organizations and environmental education since 2006. In addition to his role with the Green Triangle, he currently serves as the executive director for the new Agrarian Center, which operates the City Fresh program at George Jones Farm. Nick received his certification in permaculture design in August 2009.
At George Jones Farm.
At the George Jones Farm. Yeah. Any other things I need to mention about you?
Absolutely not. That was more than enough. Thanks.
Well, this is Nick, everyone.
Give me just a second. So I was told there's going to be 200 people here. So I made this big old PowerPoint. And I don't talk real loud, so if you're comfortable getting up and moving closer, or if you can hear me, that's fine too. Do I get a little electronic clicker?
Oh yeah, this is clicker thing.
Yes! Right.
Feel really fancy.
Okay, that's going to take a second. Yeah, my name is Nick, and I think I know just about everybody in the room right now, so. I don't know your name.
I'm Joey.
I've seen you before.
I'm Joey.
Joey?
Dave Weed, Second Harvest Food Bank in North Central Ohio.
Great. Okay, you're back. What's up?
Second Harvest, back up here.
Right on.
Great partnership we need to make between that and Second Harvest.
Absolutely.
What you folks are talking about today is highly intriguing to me.
Good.
And there's a lot of newness that I really appreciate the effort that was put on here and the information that was shared. It's really a collaborative, spirit of collaboration.
I hope we can continue making impact here, for sure, and collaborating. You're at the George Jones Farm every week, so I know you, and you're also there. Okay, just here with them, not just. You're also. So, and there's Rick back there, John, and so I know many of you, and I don't know these two lovely ladies. Hi. Is this thing loaded yet? It is. All right. So my wife warned me that I really shouldn't start with the heavy stuff. Give it away. Don't give it away. How does this work? This isn't like mine.
There you go.
Yeah. It looks good up there.
Oh, all right. Sweet. So they said don't start with the heavy stuff. So I give you.
Maybe not.
You want a slide flipper?
Well, we can.
There we go. I give you a kitten. And a rainbow. See, David's not all about numbers.
Yeah.
and how many pounds of food we move. And, oh, there's a unicorn with wings in outer space.
Symbol for the local food movement.
So this is my little cousin Mikey, and he's adorable, and he makes my wife's ovaries scream. And there's Rosemary. She's a recent graduate of the permaculture design course out of Cleveland, and she's the happiest little baby I've ever seen. She got an honorary degree. She couldn't verbalize the final presentation. And this is Miles. Miles is Brad Charles Melzer, the new head farmer for the George Jones Farm we just brought on. This is his 4-year-old son. He and I are going to, he told me last week, explore the universe forever in our caveman spaceship. Which actually is almost a literal, the Earth, right? It kind of is a caveman spaceship. We already are exploring the universe as we go around the Milky Way in our caveman spaceship. So he's a pretty brilliant little kid. Center for Disease Control tells us that one of these 3 kids will most likely be diagnosed with diabetes. At some point in their lifetimes, they will live on average 10 years younger than their grandparents, thanks to the landscape of crappy food that we've built for them and we've voted on with our pocketbooks over the years. some of us less than others, I know. Currently in Cleveland, if you have to go 1 mile to get that food right there, you have to go 4.5 miles on average to get to fresh food. The average farmer in this country is 61, according to the USDA. Half of young farmers are quitting, according to the FFA. So in as little as 5 years, we're going to have 1/3 of the people currently growing our food. So there's some big changes that are coming to our food system that I think we're trying to address here in Oberlin on a really big scale. I just had a meeting with the Oberlin Project yesterday, and we're talking about, a campus goal of by 2025, we'll have a carbon neutral campus. By 2050, it would be the whole town. I know Bon Appetit buys a ton of local food. We're trying to support the local food movement here, and so I know I'm not trying to preach to the choir. Hopefully, we can sing together. But these are some things that just stick in my head as holy cows. These are problems. So when we buy $1 worth of food at a grocery store or fast food chain, it's 5 cents that goes to our farmer, and that's why our average farmer is 61 and quitting, right? Good news is we're not alone. There's a global food movement that's very exciting, and that we're all proud to be a part of. There's lots of people out there who are doing this. This is, see, that's the George Jones Farm, and here's some City Fresh, and there's some folks in Africa, and there's people in India, and there's Joel Salatin, right? We're a little behind the curve in some ways, maybe about 30 years in the permaculture side of things. The United States is just starting to catch up to Australia and Middle East and Africa and Europe. So City Fresh, which is what I'm here to mostly talk about, is a CSA program. Are you all familiar with City Fresh? Is there anybody not familiar with City Fresh? Just yourself. Beth is pointing at you. So City Fresh is a CSA program. It's a little non-traditional in that it's a not-for-profit program, and we have some key features that get people excited, I think, in the urban core especially, about the program. We'll get to that in a second. So it started with farmers need to move produce, but they don't have access to the markets in the cities. So we created this idea of a fresh stop, which would be a way to get food into a community using volunteer labor. So we would coordinate with customers who would pay a week in advance. In the CSA model, you pay usually a full season in advance. In City Fresh, it's a week in advance. And we would pool all the resources, all that money together, and we'd get as much local produce as we could from the best farmers we knew within 70 miles. And the markets we set up, we call Fresh Stops, and they're run by volunteers, and we have just a little bit of staff. Things that make City Fresh really unique, I already mentioned the week-to-week ordering. Most CSAs you pay for the full season, $600,000, $800,000. City Fresh, not only is it much cheaper, but you can also order week-to-week without any kind of penalty. And the price is graduated based on shareholders' income. So we have 2 share sizes. There's a single share and a family share. The single share is $15 a week. The family share is $28 a week. If you meet the WIC income guidelines, you qualify for our limited income share, which is $9 instead of $15, $16 instead of $28. So it's almost half the price. And we take a pretty big loss to deliver that program, but it's why we exist, because everyone deserves access to fresh and healthy food, regardless of income, and that's our mission. We accept Ohio Direction, EBT, SNAP benefits. And so you remember this slide, the 5-cent slide. With City Fresh, it's 81 cents. All right, 81 cents. And we're pretty proud of that. So we've got, in 2006, when the program first started, our founder, Brad Mossy, and his colleague, Maurice Small, set up in the Clark Metro neighborhood of Cleveland. And one person showed, they've had a table and a pop-up tent. They were trying to promote this program, and one person showed up all day long, and they didn't buy a share. And by the end of that year, they'd sold 233 bags of produce. Last year, we sold almost 13,000, and it's all through word of mouth. It's all through this network. So we've got 20 farmers, we've got 1,100 shareholders, not weekly, 600 weekly, but in the whole network, there's about 1,100 people who purchase each year. Here's your numbers, Dave.
Yeah.
2.5 staff,
I missed the
120 plus
uniform.
volunteers, 10 to 15 fresh stops, $150,000 for local farmers, and so that's kind of City Fresh. That's the promise. If we can kind of shop together and vote with our pocketbooks, right, for local food, we can start to create a culture. We can work together, and we can play together, and we can cook together, and eat together. And we can train the next crop of farmers, hopefully get them excited, and we can raise our standard of living. Not only, that's the George Jones Farm, thank you. We can raise our standard of living. We can do all this, and we can make a happier world. So that's my PowerPoint. And that's my work. So. I'm new to the role of executive director at the new Agrarian Center. I know a lot of you are familiar with the NAC. I've been running City Fresh in Cuyahoga County for the last 3 years, so that's the programs I'm most familiar with. But I'm just now getting to meet a lot of the players here in Lorain County, and it's been awesome. So y'all rock, and I'm excited to be up here and find ways to collaborate with you. So I'll take some questions. Yeah, please.
So how are you going to collaborate
Well,
with local?
I think the first step for me is just getting to know what's going on,
Okay.
and offering, my help in any way that I can be of service to the community here in terms of, the background of the NAC. Primarily, the NAC is education. The George Jones Farm is the farmer educational wing of the organization, and City Fresh is the nutritional educational wing and the CSA. And so those two have been a sort of an anchor, I think, in the community in various ways over the years. So I just want to offer my support in any way I can for projects that are interested in collaboration. Yeah, Beth.
Another important collaboration, especially between the Jones Farm and Lorain County Community College, is the Jones Farm serves as the site for learning for the new Sustainable Ag Certificate that Ruby was here talking about earlier this morning. So the hands-on experience needs to happen somewhere. Jones Farm is a perfect place for folks interested in that, adding that Sustainable Ag Certificate to their portfolio to get that experience.
Some of our young farmers are right here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
this is a crew right here. So,
One of you won't be a farmer in 5 years.
Yeah, probably.
Dave.
I have a question,
Yeah.
which is, I'm wondering what you personally are most excited to see happen. I know you have a long history with permaculture and growing and these types of operations. So what are you personally excited to see happen at George Jones, since it is in some ways a bit of a blank slate right now?
A little bit. I think there's a ton of potential to open up the farm. The farm is a 70-acre nature preserve and working organic farm. 30 acres are held in research conservation. 22 acres are woodland, and then the rest is sort of set up. There's 6 or 8 acres of prepared fields that have been improved. It was a commodity grains farm, so we've improved the land so we can actually grow decent crops out of them. And then there's some forming wetlands now from undrained fields. So there's a class 4 huge, maybe 10-acre class 4 wetland that's starting to form on the property. I am really excited personally in integrating all of the different growing systems. So to get the forest working with the fields, to get the wetlands productive, and we hired Brad Melzer this past week. He just started, and he's helped build the living machine here in Oberlin. He's been all over the world doing aquaculture. He's truly a world expert in aquaculture, and so for him to be able to immerse himself in the wetland systems, I think is exciting to me. I'd love to see Chinampas, which is Central American system of growing, where you build land, sort of fingers of land out into wetland systems, where the wetlands are typically where the most fertility is. It's just hard to get to, right? So you heap up some of that matter into little islands, and you can grow all kinds of things. So to get those systems working together, so we're getting syrup from the trees, we're growing mushrooms in the forest, and that's all feeding through into the field crops and bringing a diverse group of students, not just from the colleges, but I think people in town who are interested in the simple things. You know, a lot of times we talk about how we need, you know, $10 billion projects to save this planet. I think we need $1 billion $10 projects, and I'd love to make the George Jones Farm sort of that open space where people can come and learn how do I inoculate a log. I was talking to the young woman out here who sells mac and cheese. She just started her mac and cheese business. She's 9 years old. What's her name? Allison. Ella. Thank you. She's awesome. She's got the mushroom. She's got the mushroom one. I asked her if she knew how to make mushrooms, and she's like, "No, but I want to learn how." I was like, "It's so easy. And it's cheap. It's really not expensive to do. It's just a little bit of patience, really." So I think hopefully that answers that question. What I'm excited about, I think, is integrating those systems with Lorain County and Oberlin specifically.
I have another question. We in the talk previous, I was talking about with Leo about education, and people ask questions about parent and community education. I know George Jones traditionally has had a role educating college students, and you mentioned younger kids as well. I think sometimes, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody, we focus on the youth because it seems like, you know, they're in that space where they're ready to learn and they want to learn. I'm wondering if you have seen models for adult education that works sort of outside, you know, almost like a third space outside of that formal academic structure, you know, maybe somebody who's 35 and wants to learn these things. Have you seen successful models, or do you have ideas for how to bring those people, you know, some of my coworkers at the daycare center, someone like that, into the farm?
I think the success I've seen personally is through the permaculture design certification course and associated workshops, because it's kind of a sexy new field that people are just getting involved in. It tends to draw a crowd, and I think you need numbers to get adults in. You need something exciting. So the certification course is great. It's a 2-week intensive typically. In Cleveland, we've been doing them on the weekends. We did like a 6-weekend course. That's easier for professionals to get to. So permaculture tends to get a lot of people to come out, and if you can I think there's an intention, or maybe not an intention, but there's this desire to be experts, right? We all like to learn from experts. We like to try and be experts, and I think there's more value in skill sharing in a lot of ways, and in approaching education from a more humble perspective, because there's so much expertise that already exists in every one of us for how nature works, right? We have an innate understanding of patterns. We have an innate understanding of natural systems that if we can just start to tease ourselves, you know, if we can just observe a little bit, we can start to tease out. And the most incredible design work I've seen done in permaculture specifically is from people who've just started and who don't have some of the blinders on yet, who don't have, you know, that child's mind sort of Buddhist concept. So I'm talking a lot. More questions, please.
Well, I just think there's a lot of agricultural resources in Lorain and other local counties that nobody taps into, and to say that local food movements are isolationist in some ways is unless you reach out to these people who are the future farmers, or would like to be, who grew up on farms, who, you know, my daughter's boyfriend who raised pigs from the time he was 8 years old for the fair. And those are the kind of people that have already a deep appreciation for growing and that kind of occupation. So how do you connect with people who are more in a more traditional economy perhaps, but whose future livelihood really would depend on learning these new skills?
I think that's where a lot of the collaboration can happen with what's going on here in Oberlin. I think you've got to get out and you've got to meet people. You've got to find where people gather, and you've got to talk about this. And you've got to make an honest invitation to participate. So I love inviting people into a storytelling situation. I love taking people out to the farm. I know that right now the farm needs a lot of work to be done on it. It's been overwintered, and so there's lots of cleanup to be done. But I still love taking people out there and being like, look at the potential here. Look at all this what's going on here. What's going to happen in the spring? It's going to be really exciting to see unfold. So I think there's a lot of value in just telling the story. And so that's where I see the connections mostly. There's a lot of projects. The Oberlin Project's got a lot of legs right now. I'd love to talk more with Chet about the food incubator kitchen. Yeah, let's do that. So there's so much going on. These guys are great back here. And I probably need to get off the stage so we can listen to Rick, right?
Very good.
Other questions? You guys want to see more kittens?
Do you have more? Do you have more?
Just the same one.
Oh.
I can put the unicorn back on. Thanks for your time, everybody.